Welcome to another great episode of Community Storytelling. I'm Lissa Kreisler. So glad you're with us. And we're sponsored by Linda Lester and her wonderful Lester Square. Always so proud and happy to say that and tell you that. I have a fabulous woman sitting next to me. We're just missing your husband. So Virginia Becker is here. We'll pretend Albert is sitting next to you. He's your other half. I was going to say you're the better half because we got you today, so you're the better half. But what a story. The Red Cross nominated you. They said, I've got to talk to you. So we're going to start with the Red Cross, but there's so much more to you than just the Red Cross. But you're a wonderful volunteer for the Red Cross.
I love the Red Cross.
So tell me how many years and how did you even get involved with the Red Cross?
I was speaking about my nonprofit to a Rotary Club, and there was a woman in the audience that worked for the Red Cross, and she came up to me and said, I think you would be a good fit for our public affairs department for the Red Cross as a volunteer. And I had no idea what that was and looked it up, and I thought it was a good fit and went through the classes, and so now I'm a public affairs volunteer for the Red Cross.
How many years?
I think I'm going on 5. I think it's 5.
So you've been through your fair share of disasters, but nothing like 2017.
No.
Were you ever home?
Yeah. I didn't go to as many as some of my other volunteer friends went. There were some people that were out like the whole year. So
I'm guessing you were at Hurricane Harvey.
I was at Hurricane Harvey, Santa Rosa fire, the Sobrantes fire, the Bear fire.
Well, yes, you were at the Bear fire because you lived there.
I was also an evacuee from the Bear fire.
So what was that like? I saw a video from NBC Bay Area. I think you were with Garvin Thomas.
I was.
And there you were with your little vest on. It was, I believe, late at night. It was dark, if I remember right. And you're looking over the ridge saying, that's my house.
We woke up about 1 a.m. and looked out the window, and there was a wall of fire that was coming straight at us. It wasn't just a few flames, it was a complete wall of fire. So we knew it was time to evacuate.
Did you hear the flames or you saw a light coming in?
We saw the light.
You saw the light?
Yeah, and so we started putting some things together, and as we were doing that, the sheriff came, and sure enough, we were all in the middle of the night. We were mandatory evacuation from our area.
Did you ever think you yourself would be perhaps a victim?
No, it was very surreal when that happened, because the week before that I had just come back from covering the Santa Rosa fires, and so it just didn't even fit that this might possibly be me. So it adds to my life resume to be on the other side of it now. So now when I go to disasters, I certainly wouldn't talk about my disaster, but I have more empathy and more understanding for people who have been through that. So it just added to my life resume.
So when you got home from the Santa Rosa fire, did you say to your husband, Albert, because he's a volunteer as well?
Yes, he is.
We need to get things organized. Or were you already organized to make a quick evacuation?
I would love to tell you I was that organized. I would love to tell you that all my experience with the Red Cross was in place in my house, and it wasn't. And
I'm so glad to hear that.
It wasn't, but it is now. It was a learning experience that I hope nobody has to go through, but anybody who's listening, I hope they do have their things in order, their paper in order, they have a to-go bag, and can learn from my mistake of not having that ready.
Give me a few specifics. What should be in your to-go bag?
All your important papers, your pictures,
that would be
medication.
A pretty big bag.
Or know where to grab it instantly. Have a plan in place for how you would exit in case of an emergency. If you think an emergency can't happen to you, I didn't think it could happen to me. I thought it always happened to other people that I met, but it was not going to happen to me. And I'm here to say it can happen to anybody.
And it did not happen though, right? Your house was saved.
And it did not. And that is because CAL FIRE saved our house. They did a phenomenal job. They had a fire truck at every other house on our block. And they babysat our houses, because if it had come over the ridge, our whole community would have been gone. So CAL FIRE saved our house.
We are blessed with CAL FIRE, no doubt about it. I think we have one of the best fire departments in the country.
We do.
I mean, CAL FIRE is amazing.
They are.
And they've done their work this last year.
They sure have.
They really have.
They sure have.
So when you were there looking at the flames, were you thinking only of your house, or were you in Red Cross mode? I mean, which way do you turn?
That's a good question. I thought of my house, and then when we left, it was much easier, and I had taken my Red Cross things with me, my vest and my tablet, and my camera, of course, and it was easier for me to disassociate and be public affairs for the Red Cross than it was to be an evacuee. It was much easier.
And as public affairs, what do you do?
So I meet people, I interview people at shelters, I take pictures, I caption them, I write stories. The pictures and the stories are uploaded to the Red Cross sites. So for the Bear Fire where I was evacuated, I went to the little shelter that they had in our community and asked people how it was to be evacuated and interviewed them and took their picture and wrote their stories and uploaded them.
Can you share a story from Hurricane Harvey? One that you still remember so well because it just touched your heart.
Oh gosh.
There must have been so many of them.
There was one.
Yeah.
So there was a guy that was in his early 20s and he was awakened. All the stories start the same. I got out of bed in the middle of the night and I was knee deep in water. All the stories start the same way. And this gentleman got out of bed and he was knee deep in water and he woke up his girlfriend and they went outside and their street was a river and they were knocking on the doors of their neighbors and got their neighbors to come outside and they still had power. And all of a sudden they heard a screaming and one of the power lines fell and their neighbor was electrocuted and killed. Oh. And they couldn't do anything. So they were traumatized and they had to keep marching on. And the water was so ferocious that it actually carried his girlfriend away. And so he tried to grab onto her and fortunately she grabbed on to a stop sign. And so she held onto the stop sign and he saw a long extension cord, and that part I'm not sure how he found the extension cord, but he found a large extension cord and attached it to her and attached it to him and then drug her up the street and where he was heading was a church because he knew that there were steps and they would be above the water. And so got up the steps and then called the Cajun Navy. I didn't even know there was a Cajun Navy, but there is in Texas, and they sent vehicles out to rescue their community.
I almost feel like I should make a plea for Red Cross donations right now.
Please do.
Because these are the people you're helping, redcross.org.
Right.
They always need and use the money so wisely.
I don't think people understand. They're not first responders. They're not the firemen. They're not the policemen. But what they're doing is they're acting behind the scenes. They're setting up the shelters. They're getting the food prepared for everybody. And then after the disaster, there's a full array of support that comes to the people who have survived the disaster, to give them financial support, to help them with housing, to help them in a variety of ways that people have no idea. So you don't see them on TV that much. They're not out pulling people out of the flames. They're there taking care of people and ensuring their safety quietly behind the scenes. Yes. So of all the organizations to donate to the Red Cross.
You are a fabulous volunteer. You and Albert, who is not here.
And Albert, we do the same thing together.
When did you start all this photography? Your entire life or just recently?
No. The way this started was in 2010, the mother of one of my very best friends passed away, and she asked if I would help get a little slideshow together. And so as we were going through the boxes of pictures, we realized that the hard copy prints that they had pretty much stopped about 10 years ago. And it occurred to me that we're taking pictures, but we're sharing them rapidly with our cell phones and our cameras, and then we're not printing them and we're losing them. And so I wanted to do something to keep the hard copy print alive. And so I came up with this wacky idea of starting of going out and photographing individuals and families that otherwise wouldn't have access to a professional photographer, and not only giving them access to the JPEGs, but the key component to it would be to give them a hard copy for professional quality print within minutes of their picture being taken, which is a daunting task when you have no idea what you're doing.
Like me.
That's what I was doing. So, and we didn't know anybody else who was doing this. So I had this idea. So there was a lot of trial by error, and Albert was interested in doing this with me.
Good job, Albert.
So he does the technical part of
Yes.
it, and then I've always enjoyed portrait photography, although I wasn't that good at it back then, and so I just continually study it.
And thus came
The Family Album Project.
Tell us about that. And where's my Kleenex? Because I will need it in a
I don't
minute.
think so. The Family Album Project was launched in January of 2011, and we weren't a nonprofit. I didn't want to be a nonprofit. I just wanted to go out and do this, but it gained momentum, and it became clear that it was going to be better if we became a nonprofit. So I jumped all the hoops. We have our FIN number, and we can apply for grants, which don't happen too often. So we're a nonprofit. And every year, we're now partnered with 35 different organizations. The Red Cross is one of them. I'm a Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep photographer, which means that if a newborn dies if there's a fetal demise, I go to the hospital and photograph the baby and the family together and provide remembrance photography. We're partnered with the Ronald McDonald House. Yes. We go there every other week, and we have so much fun. We have racks of clothes and costumes and signs that say "Fighting Cancer," and I'll dress you up as a boxer. We'll take someone who has lost all their hair to chemo and dress them up like a beautiful fairy princess and make them feel beautiful, and the families come down and we laugh, and it's a joy-filled event. It's more than just taking pictures. And so we'll give we print hundreds and thousands of pictures, and there's no limit to the amount of pictures we'll provide the families.
At no charge.
At no charge.
At no charge.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I mean, that's very big. That's huge. And I assume there are some families at the Ronald McDonald House that you have grown up with that come back.
They come back, and that was a surprise. I thought they came, they got well, they went home, and that was it. And I've learned that that's not the case. Some come, some get well, some go home, some don't come back. Some come, some are sick, some don't leave, some pass away. So in some cases, we're the last picture for that family.
How tough is that?
It's not. It's wonderful because
you're giving them a gift.
I was able to give them their last great photograph. It's wonderful, for the fetal demise. I'm the one person that can do something that will help in the healing process. They'll wonder if that happened, and my response is it did happen. It's part of your history. You need to have a remembrance. You need to have a tangible reminder. At the Ronald McDonald House, we encourage families to write one sentence about what happened that day on the back of their picture and tuck it away. And 10 years from now, you'll pull it out and you wonder, did that experience really happen? Did I almost lose my child? And that's the proof that it did. It did happen.
And you didn't stop there, because I know you also film the homeless and the destitute. I guess they're one and the same many times. But you have the Blue Tarp Project, which is, explain that.
So the Blue Tarp Project, I've been working with a homeless organization called Downtown Streets Team for the past 4 years now.
Wonderful organization. They do so much.
Oh my gosh.
Helps so many people.
They do. So the way that works briefly is if you're homeless and you wake up one day and you go, I don't want to be homeless anymore, but I don't know how to get out. Downtown Streets Team has a program designed for you. And they take small incremental steps towards working your way out of homelessness. And if you decide you want to work this program, you can work your way out of homelessness. And having been a weekly part of the Downtown Streets Team program up until 4 months ago, now it's monthly because we just don't have enough time, I had the thrill of watching people come into this program, work this program, and work their way out of homelessness. And so it was like, what are you going to do with a photographer? But we document it all, and people want their pictures taken. And so what I've learned is that the difference between you and I and a homeless person, are you ready?
I think I know what you're going to say.
Is nothing.
Yeah. Or maybe just four walls.
It's nothing. It's nothing. We're exactly the same. And I wanted to start I wanted to do something to show our homeless neighbors in a better light. And so rather than taking pictures, the same pictures that we tend to see over and over of our homeless out on the streets looking their worst, I wanted to take pictures of homeless people looking their best and to try and change the perception from that to this. And that's the person that I see. And so to accomplish that, I photographed, I've probably photographed at least 100 volunteers that wanted to be a part of this. And they know that their picture is going to be posted. They know that it's going to receive attention, and they want that because they are so excited that this face might change as well. So to accomplish this, I've enlarged the pictures so that they're 12 by 18 inches. The portraits are mounted on a poster board from the dollar store that's 2 feet by 3 feet. And then the reason why it's the Blue Tarp Project is I always associated our homeless with living under a blue tarp. So I cut out a piece of blue tarp and opened up a frame for the picture. So each picture is framed with a blue tarp mat, and then each person signed the portrait and has put a message about what it's like to be homeless. And so it's been up at the Santa Clara County building. Right now it's on display at San Jose City Hall, and we would like to get it in all of the cities where Downtown Streets team is, which I think is 11 now. And so to do that, we would go to the cities, photograph the homeless from that city, and then also couple that with factual panels about what homelessness is like in that city. So right now we have an invitation to go to Santa Cruz once it comes down from San Jose. And so I'm working with several people in Santa Cruz on the factual posters that they would like to accompany their portraits from Santa Cruz.
I have seen your portraits, and each one tells an amazing story. And it really needs no words because the story is in the picture. I mean, you really capture what their story is. I mean, the pictures are just amazing, just beautiful.
The people are amazing.
Yeah.
You know, the people are just amazing. And
well, you're not bad either.
You know,
You're pretty amazing.
Since having done this, I look at my life like there was before doing all this, there was like Virginia 1.0 that was before the Family Album Project, and there's Virginia 2.0, and they're not the same people at all. You know, Virginia 2.0 is the happiest she's ever been, the most fulfilled. You know, if anybody is depressed or is not happy with the way their life is, I would encourage them to figure out what makes them happy. For me, it's meeting people and taking pictures. For some people, it might be sewing or singing or driving. There is something that you can do in your community that will champion the thing that makes you happy. So rather than going out and just going, oh, there's a need there, really go inside and figure out what it is. Because if you do that, it will be impossible for you to be unhappy. It will be impossible for you to be depressed because you're not only doing something, but you're giving it back to other people. It's impossible.
I think we almost need to end the interview there. I think you said it all. That's great advice. Did you ever think that you would be talking like this and doing this when you owned a tattoo parlor?
No.
No. How many years ago did you own a tattoo parlor?
I owned a tattoo parlor about 10 years ago.
And do you have any tattoos?
I do not. We did this to get a young man started in life that had a bumpy start, and so got him a good start.
Does Albert have any tattoos?
He has no tattoos. Neither one of us do.
Okay, good job. Good job, Albert. Oh, you are just delightful.
So are you.
And what you do for the community is just amazing. And keep volunteering for the Red Cross. And although, let's hope there are not that many disasters this year. Let's hope you're home a lot.
I know. Let's hope I'm home a lot,
yes,
too.
We
Let's hope I'm home a
want
lot,
you
too.
home.
Thank
we
you.
want you home safe and sound. Virginia Becker and her husband Albert, who is not here today, he's grandbabysitting, so he's doing something worthwhile right now as well. You got a story like Virginia and Albert's? I mean, that is an amazing story. Amazing people. Would love to meet you. Would love to share your story right here. You go to KCAT.org. It's as easy as that. And as I always like to say, it's been so fabulous spending some time with you right here at KCAT TV 15.